Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a surprisingly funny fable that reveals a pretty profound truth about human psychology and our daily routines. We spend so much time talking about how to build habits and how to break them, but honestly, sometimes the absolute best way to truly understand a concept is through a simple story. So we're looking at a classic tale that brilliantly captures exactly how our minds process repetitive behaviors.
Before we get into the heavy stuff, the actual science of character formation, let me ask you something to set the stage here. Are you tied down by invisible ropes? Now, I know, it sounds kind of weird right now, but hold on to that thought, because by the time we finish walking through the story ahead, you might just find yourself looking at your own daily routines in a completely different light.
All right, part one, the restless donkey.
Let's set the scene here. We've got our protagonist, a super hardworking potter. Every single day, he goes through the exact same motions. He's out there gathering soil from dawn till dusk to make his pots, using a whole herd of donkeys to carry the load. It's grueling work, so on his way back home, he has this very specific ritual. He stops under a massive, shady tree. He ties every single one of his donkeys to the trunk, and then he catches some sleep to recharge. Flawless system, right? Day in, day out.
Well, one afternoon, disaster strikes this perfectly structured routine. As he's getting ready for his usual nap, he counts his ropes and realizes he is exactly one rope short. He can tie down all the donkeys, except for one.
So the potter figures, you know what, no big deal. He decides to just keep the loose donkey nearby, totally expecting it to just chill and sleep peacefully next to him. But reality? Yeah, reality had other plans. That loose donkey starts wandering around, fidgeting, just making nonstop noise. It completely ruins the poor guy's chance at getting any rest.
Which brings us to Section 2, the pretend not.
Enter a passing villager. He sees our totally exhausted potter struggling to sleep over all this racket, walks right up to the sleep-deprived man and offers this very specific, almost magical advice. He says, "Oh dear friend, I'll give you a trick."
And then he lays out this wildly bizarre three-step plan. Step 1, take the donkey to its normal resting place. Step 2, pretend to tie a knot around its neck. And Step 3, pretend to tie the other end of that invisible rope to the tree. I mean, he tells the potter to literally just mime the exact motions of tying a knot, using nothing but thin air, and then just go to sleep.
All right, moving on to Section 3, the stubborn standstill.
Now, obviously, the potter doesn't really believe this is going to work, but he is desperate enough to try anything. So he walks the donkey to the trunk, raises his empty hands, and perfectly mimics the motion of tying a rope around its neck and securing it to the bark. And to his absolute shock, the moment he finishes pretending, the animal freezes in place. It just stops moving completely. The trick actually worked, and the potter finally gets his nap.
But here is where it gets really funny. A little while later, he wakes up, feeling rested, ready to head home. He unties all the real ropes from the other donkeys. They're loose, they're ready to walk. But when he looks over at the donkey that was never actually tied up, the one with the pretend knot, that specific donkey absolutely refuses to move an inch.
Section 4, the magic release.
This donkey is stubbornly planted at the tree. It will not budge no matter how hard the potter tries to pull him away. He's tugging, he's pulling, but the animal is acting like it's literally chained to the wood. Coincidentally, our helpful villager strolls by again, sees this hilarious struggle, smiles, and drops this flawless piece of logic. He says, "Oh, my friend, now that you pretended to tie him down and it has worked, now you have to pretend to untie the donkey. If you don't do that, he would not move from there."
So, feeling probably kind of ridiculous at this point, the potter walks back up to the donkey. He raises his empty hands again and actively mimes untying the invisible knot. And, well, like magic, the instant that invisible rope is untied, the stubborn donkey snaps out of it, happily starts walking, and joins the rest of the herd to go home.
Okay, Section 5, the invisible ropes.
Let's pivot for a second from this funny little story to the actual core lesson here, because it hits really close to home for all of us. Just like that literal-minded donkey, the source text argues that we are all, in fact, tied down by invisible ropes. And what are those ropes? They're our habits. They are created entirely by the mind through simple daily repetition. You see, the donkey had been tied to that tree so many times that its mind fundamentally believed it couldn't move if the tying motion happened. It totally tricked its own mind into dictating what it could and could not do, completely regardless of physical reality.
In our final section here, habits form your character. This whole story brilliantly illustrates the ultimate moral of how we actually build our core identity over time. And the crucial point is this clear progression. It all starts with intention. If you want to be a certain way, you have to proactively practice good virtues. You have to repeat them until you turn those virtues into daily habits, just like the potter tying his donkeys every single day. Eventually, those repeated habits become permanent fixtures in your brain. And ultimately, the whole shebang solidifies into your character. Really, your character is simply the sum total of your invisible ropes.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought, something to help you reflect on the invisible tethers in your own life. What invisible knots must you pretend to untie today to build the character you want tomorrow? We've all got routines and habits holding us in place, even when literally nothing is physically stopping us from moving forward. Sometimes all it takes is recognizing that the rope isn't even real and simply choosing to untie it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I really hope this helps you untangle some of your own habits.